For decades, the story of oil in Jamaica was just that. A story. A myth whispered on the breeze, a dream that never quite came true. More than 70 years of searching, 11 failed wells drilled since the 1950s, and a history of heartbreak seemed to confirm it. Jamaica just wasn't destined for black gold. For millions of years, tantalizing clues in the form of oil-stained rocks led to nothing but dead ends and dry holes. The world and even many Jamaicans had moved on. But while the headlines were focused elsewhere, and as the nation grappled with its economic realities, something was quietly changing beneath the waves off Jamaica's southern coast. The story they aren't telling you is that behind closed doors, new data has been analyzed, quiet moves have been made, and critical approvals have just been signed. This new evidence points to a massive prize waiting to be claimed. A discovery that could turn Jamaica into the Caribbean's next oil superpower, or it could unleash a curse that has broken its neighbors. This is the story of the high-stakes gamble that's happening right now, and why this time it's different. So what really changed? What makes this different from all the other times Jamaica got its hopes up, only to be let down? The answer isn't one single thing, but a convergence of new technology, favorable regulations, and relentless persistence. The first and most critical piece of the puzzle fell into place in the summer of 2025. In a crucial board meeting on June 17, 2025, Jamaica's National Environment and Planning Agency, or NEPA, gave the green light. They granted United Oil and Gas, the UK-based company holding the exploration rights, a vital environmental permit and a beach license for the massive offshore area known as the Walton-Morant Basin. These weren't just routine papers. These approvals unlocked the next and perhaps most vital phase of exploration before any drills start spinning. For the first time, the company has the official go-ahead to conduct a series of sophisticated, non-invasive surveys. We're talking about mapping the ocean floor in incredible detail, understanding the stability of the seabed and establishing what the ecosystem looks like before any major work begins. But the real game changer buried in those approvals is the permission for something called piston core sampling. Think of it like this. For years, geologists have been using sound waves, 3D seismic surveys, to take an ultrasound of the Earth's crust, looking for shapes that might hold oil. It's an incredible technology that has identified over 40 potential prospects in the license area. But it's still just an image, an educated guess. Piston coring is the first time they get to the evidence. It involves sending a long, heavy tube deep into the ocean and punching it into the seabed to pull out a sample of mud and sediment. Those samples are then analyzed for microscopic traces of hydrocarbons, direct geochemical evidence of oil seeping up from a source deep below. This step is designed to substantially de-risk the entire project. Instead of spending an estimated 30 to 50 million US dollars to drill a single well based on a seismic image alone, they can now use physical evidence to pinpoint the most promising locations. It dramatically increases the odds of success, which one report suggests could rise from about 1 in 5 to as high as 1 in 3 for the primary target. This brings us to the players and the prize. The company at the center of this is United Oil and Gas. After taking over from Tullow Oil in 2020, United now holds a 100% stake in the Walton-Morant license, an enormous 22,400 square kilometre area off Jamaica's southern coast. Their focus is lasered in on a primary target known as the Colibri prospect. Independent analysis from Gaffney Klein estimates Colibri could hold around 406 million barrels, but that's just the beginning. The company's own, more optimistic internal estimates for the license area suggest a mind-boggling speculative potential of over 7 billion barrels. To add a bit of flair, they've even given some riskier, high-potential prospects names like Thunderball, Moonraker and Blofeld, with Thunderball alone estimated to hold a potential 603 million barrels. This isn't just hype. It's backed by modern 3D seismic data that has revealed that the geological traps offshore appear to be far more intact and promising than the ones explored onshore decades ago. To top it all off, the Jamaican government has shown its support by extending the exploration license to January 2028, giving the company the time it needs to complete this work and, most importantly, attract a major partner to help fund the massive cost of drilling. But what does finding oil on this scale actually for a nation like Jamaica? A number like 7 billion barrels is hard to comprehend. To understand the sheer scale of the transformation, we don't need to imagine. We just need to look a few hundred miles southeast to Guyana. Before 2015, Guyana was one of the poorest countries in the Western Hemisphere. Then ExxonMobil struck oil. A lot of it. The discoveries in its Stabroek block are now estimated at over 11 billion barrels. What happened next was nothing short of an economic earthquake. Guyana became, quite literally, the fastest-growing economy on the planet. Its GDP has grown at an astonishing average rate of 47% annually in recent years. The revenue pouring into the government's coffers has been staggering. From just under $200 million in 2020, Guyana's annual oil earnings are projected to be around $2.5 billion in 2025 and could surge towards an incredible $10 billion per year by 2030. To put that in perspective, Jamaica's entire national budget for a year is typically around $6 to $7 billion. And this isn't just money sitting in a bank, it's being put to work. The Guyanese government has used these funds to make tuition at the University of Guyana free. They are financing the construction of new hospitals, roads and bridges, strengthening their agriculture sector and raising salaries for public workers. This is what black gold can buy. Now, imagine that future for Jamaica. For decades, the country has wrestled with high public debt, economic stagnation, and a crippling dependence on imported fossil fuels, which account for over 90% of its energy needs. A major oil discovery could be a game-changer for these long-standing problems. First, energy independence. Finding and refining its own oil could slash billions from Jamaica's import bill, stabilize the cost of electricity and transportation, and create a buffer against volatile global energy prices. Second, an economic boom. Just like Guyana, Jamaica could see explosive GDP growth. This would attract a flood of foreign investment, not just in oil, but in all the supporting industries. It would create thousands of high-skilled, high-paying jobs, potentially reversing the decades-long brain drain of talented Jamaicans seeking opportunities overseas. Third, fiscal freedom. The billions in revenue could finally allow the government to pay down its national debt, freeing up massive amounts of money for social programs. We're talking about transforming the healthcare system, building modern schools, and funding affordable housing on a scale never before possible. Jamaica could transition from a nation managing debt to a nation investing in its people and even position itself as a new energy hub for the Caribbean. This is the dream, the tantalizing, almost unbelievable promise of what lies beneath the waves. But there's a catch, a very big one. For every story like Guyana's meteoric rise, there's a nightmare scenario lurking in the shadows. It's a phenomenon so common it has a name, the resource curse. And to see what that looks like, we only need to look at another one of Jamaica's Caribbean neighbours, Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad has had oil for over a century. For decades, its energy wealth has given it one of the highest per capita incomes in the Caribbean. But that wealth came at a steep price. The country has been trapped in a cycle of booms and busts. The focus on energy caused other vital sectors, like agriculture, to stagnate, a classic symptom of what economists call Dutch disease. The problems go deeper. Resource wealth often fuels corruption and inequality, with money being siphoned off by a small elite. It can lead to environmental degradation, with unchecked development scarring the landscape. Despite its oil wealth, Trinidad has struggled with high unemployment during downturns and persistent inequality. This is the two-sided coin of an oil discovery. The dream of wealth is always shadowed by the nightmare of the curse. For Jamaica, the risks are immense and terrifyingly real. First, the environmental risk is catastrophic. Jamaica's economy is built on its natural beauty. Tourism is a cornerstone of its GDP. An oil spill from an offshore platform would be an extinction-level event for the tourism industry, destroying the pristine beaches and coral reefs that are the lifeblood of the nation. While NEPA's oversight is designed to mitigate these risks, offshore drilling is inherently dangerous. A single accident could poison the brand Jamaica that has been built over generations. Second is the risk of economic mismanagement. What happens if billions of dollars suddenly start flowing into government coffers? Without ironclad transparency and strong institutions, that money can become a corrupting force, leading to graft and waste. Even the promise of wealth in Guyana comes with a worrying statistic. A 2025 report noted that despite massive economic growth, a significant portion of the nation's population, with some estimates as high as 40%, still lives in poverty. This is a stark warning that a rising GDP doesn't automatically lift all boats. Finally, there's the simple risk of failure. This entire discussion is based on potential. The company leading the charge, United Oil and Gas, is a relatively small player that has faced its own financial pressures, previously acknowledging acute liquidity risk and the absolute need to find a deep-pocketed partner to fund drilling. This is a high-stakes gamble from start to finish, and the prize is far from guaranteed. This isn't just about Jamaica. This is a move on a global chessboard, and the major players are watching. United Oil and Gas has been very open about its strategy. It's running a farm-out process. That's industry speak for finding a partner to buy a stake in the license in exchange for funding the massive drilling costs. The company has stated that multiple companies are already under non-disclosure agreements, actively reviewing the data. They are shopping this opportunity to the giants of the industry, super majors like Exxon, Shell and Chevron, as well as national oil companies. To attract them, they're making a provocative comparison, describing the Walton Morant license as comparable in scale to ExxonMobil's prolific Stabroek block in Guyana. That's not just a geological comparison, it's a siren song for big oil. It's an invitation to the same players who turned Guyana into an oil superpower to come and do it again in Jamaica. The implications are enormous. A major discovery would immediately draw the attention of global powers like the United States and China, who would see Jamaica not just as a tourist destination, but as a potential long-term energy partner. This brings the promise of investment, but also the risk of being pulled into larger geopolitical conflicts. A Jamaican oil boom would also send shockwaves through the region. How would it change relationships with nearby energy producers like Trinidad and Tobago, or even Venezuela? It has the potential to shift the balance of power and influence within the Caribbean community, CARICOM. In this high-stakes game, Jamaica holds strong cards, like its political stability and investor-friendly legal framework, but it also becomes vulnerable to forces far beyond its control. So Jamaica stands at a crossroads with two very different futures stretching out before it. Down one path lies the dream, a future of unprecedented wealth, energy independence and national transformation. A future where debt is a memory and the government has the resources to build a first-world nation. But down the other path lies the nightmare of the resource curse. A future of environmental ruin where an oil spill wrecks the tourism industry. A future where newfound wealth fuels corruption, deepens societal divides and leaves the country trapped in a boom and bust cycle it can't control. The direction Jamaica takes won't be decided by geology alone. It will be determined by the choices made right now. The strength of its regulations, the wisdom of its investment strategies, and the political will to ensure that any benefits are shared by all. The seismic data has revealed what's possible. The permits granted in 2025 have opened the door. But what do you think? Is this oil potential Jamaica's golden ticket to prosperity, or is it a deal with the devil that will ultimately cost more than it's worth? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.